Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. That's right, in-season tournament gimmick. In-season tournament gimmick. That's what it is, folks. And we're going to go over this before we get deep into this in-season tournament and tell you what's really going on with this in-season tournament, right? Well, everybody knows it's a joke. Let's go over this real quick. And I kind of hit on this morning, but we was talking about the Lakers and the Suns game. So let's look at this real quick. And what we need to look at is the schedule. And we kind of talked about how this is not a tournament, folks. A tournament is something that continues. A tournament isn't something you have a mindset for and then you turn it off, right? So if you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs. If you're in the tournament, you're in the tournament. If you're in the championship, playoff, whatever, that's what you're in. You can't play a tournament game and then go play a regular season game 4 times and then go back and play an in-season tournament game. It doesn't work like that. And this is what this NBA is trying to give us. This is a gimmick. This is not a tournament. This ain't how you run a tournament. If you want to run a tournament, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but check this out. So basically, on the 9th of December is when the official last regular season NBA game. That's the last regular season. The last regular season NBA game is on December 9th until basically the 19th. 2 teams play on December 9th. Of course, not the Lakers, but New York and Toronto. They play on December 9th. Then December 10th, 2 teams play in the in-season tournament. I think this is the quarterfinals. December 11th, 2 teams play in the quarterfinals. We go to December 11th. No, my fault. December 11th, 2 teams. Let me do this again. December 9th, it's the regular season game. Toronto and New York plays the last regular season game until I think it's the 19th. And then the next day, December 10th, 2 teams play, it's 4 teams play. And I think this is the quarterfinals. And then Wednesday, December 11th, 4 teams play again. And I think that's the quarterfinals. December 12th, nobody plays. December 13th, which will be Friday the 13th, of course, they don't want to play that day. So 2 days off. And then on the 14th, which is Saturday, you got 2 teams playing again. And that's the semifinals. Sunday, December 15th, no game. December 16th, no game. And then December 17th is a championship game. So basically, what you have here, folks, from December 10th until December 17th, teams are playing in the quarterfinals and playing in the semifinals. And then in between those games, nobody's playing. And then again, on the 17th, if you go look this nonsense up, it's a championship game. The next day after the championship game, nobody plays. Look, the problem with this whole thing is everyone isn't making the tournament, right? That's the problem. So you're going to have a lot of teams basically doing nothing for 10 days. Even the teams that do play in a tournament, say they play in the quarter finals, somebody has to lose, right? So those teams who lose in the quarterfinals, they're going to have a lot of days off too. This makes no sense at all. Adam Silver has all these guys who make tens of millions of dollars just sitting around. And I think, among many things, what this whole thing is about is getting these guys rest. These guys are supposed to be making record-breaking contracts for not showing up to work. So you're trying to tell me, look at Joel Embiid. He's not even showing up to work no more. Why doesn't your job sign a guaranteed contract with you for like 2, 3, 4 years if you're good at your job? But you're trying to tell me these guys who nobody is watching, according to the viewership, this has been the worst viewership since in the NBA history since the 2020s. These guys are making more money, and this has nothing to do with inflation, folks. This is ridiculous. I'm talking about these guys overall game. They don't play any defense. They really don't shoot the mid-range. They don't come to work. They team hop. They're not competitors. There's no rivalries. And nobody's watching this. And yet these guys are guaranteed 4-year, $200 million contracts. I'm going to tell you again. I'm not buying it. And I already told you my reasons. You give me 200, 100, hell, you give me 50 million, 20 million. There's no need for me to podcast or put on makeup and head to the teleprompter and have another job after I retire from 13, 14 years of duty. So you can think they make this kind of money. It's not believable to me, folks. Believe what you want to believe. If they do make this kind of money, they're basically pissing in the fans' face. The owners and the players are pissing in the eyes of the fans, pissing in the eyes of the guys that laid the foundation and carried the torch each generation in this league. So let's get back into the in-season tournament. The thing about this in-season tournament, what they should have did was, and like I said before, it's easy. But when you have people like LeBron James still in the league, everything seems so complicated. Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? What was that girl's name? Avril Lavigne? I forget her name. Avril, right? Avril Lavigne. I think that was her name. She wasn't the best. She didn't make the best music, but it would really be the best music in this era. The music today is so bad. Turn on old school 2000s and then turn back to this station of today. You'll be like, are you kidding me? You watch old school NBA and go watch this NBA. Are you kidding me? Where'd the talent go in this world? So like I said before, to solve this whole thing and to make this make any kind of sense, this is what you do. You have the in-season tournament at the beginning of the season, right? And why do you do that? You have it at the beginning of the season because now these guys can have something really in preseason to work harder for, maybe, before preseason. And it's a real tournament when you do it like this. Whatever the seeding was from last year, not some damn lottery and ping pong balls. We're talking about reality, folks. Whoever won the division or the conference, that's who gets number one in the tournament. For instance, the Celtics would have the number one seed in this tournament in the East. And of course, you would have OKC, who won the West last year. They would be number one in this tournament. And you just seed it like that. The one's going to play the 8, the two's going to play the 7, and so on and so on. Don't lottery ball me for what? That's ridiculous. So you start the season, then you have a one-game playoff. That's it. All you have is a one-game playoff. And because of that, just like the March Madness, anybody can beat anybody. But still, whoever finished the best last year is deserving of the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and to rank it that way. What they're trying to do is they're trying to pull something out of their hat like they pulled out last year, where all the good teams basically end up losing, and guess what? The Lakers had this whole thing fall in their lap to where they played bad teams in this in-season tournament because the league knows if the Pacers would have won it, it's not a good promotion. But because the Lakers won it, they're okay with it. And now we can start this new narrative in about a week. Will LeBron win back-to-back? And then if we get closer deeper into the tournament, will Bronny get his first championship with his father? Will father and son get their first championship? This is the mockery. This is the gimmick that the NBA has given you. They haven't given you anything real since LeBron left and went to Miami. Nothing. They since he went to Miami, they have kept trying to find out a way to make a villain a winner, a hero, and a likable guy. So how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? Because he can't shoot the mid-range. Career, overall, he can't shoot the three. He's a bad three-point shooter for his era. Michael Jordan was average for his era. For LeBron's era, he's not good. LeBron can't give you no paint work. He can't shoot free throws. He's a turnover machine. He jumps team to team. He's a poor sport and walks off the court early. He acts like he's going to hit the fan. What about that in Denver last year? This dude bowled up at a woman and act like he was going to hit her. And then when she flinched, he started laughing and walked away. Could you imagine Michael Jordan doing something like that? What about Kobe Bryant? What about Wilt Chamberlain doing that in the 60s? Wow. So just disgusting. And this guy is still playing after he acted like he was going to hit a woman courtside and the woman flinched when he put his arm up to her. And we just keep playing like nothing ever happened. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a Euro type of tournament. And let's talk about this, right? Not only was the league over, the NBA was over when LeBron went to Miami. You got to say that the NBA, American NBA, that had a foothold on basketball was over. Once LeBron and Wade and Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, these type of guys lost in the Olympics, smoked. They got beat by Manu Ginobili. Wow. A six-man. This was 2004. Manu Ginobili, a six-man. And a bunch of Argentinians with no melanated brother. Like Stephen A. Smith would say. Brother. Not one melanated brother on that team that won the gold medal. And guess what? LeBron and company couldn't even get the silver. But they were young. Just for comparison. So, at that same age, folks, you think Michael Jordan? We'll take some guys over there. Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, and let's say Malone is going to lose to Ginobili and his Argentinians without one melanated brother on that team. So that's what you're telling me. I'm talking about young. Those guys are young. Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, 19, 20, 21. And then in 2006, were they young? Because I remember those guys were averaging, 24 to 30 points per game now? And they go to the FIBA and they get smoked by some grease plumbers. Nobody know who these guys were. They weren't on no Olympic teams. I mean, not Olympic teams. They weren't on no NBA teams. Those guys wasn't on no NBA teams. And they got smoked by Greece, I don't even think Greece won the gold medal, but Greece came in second. So what I'm saying is, these guys weren't that good after that. We already seen it. I don't care if it's the FIBA, the Olympics. We don't get beat. Not with professional folks. Our professionals don't get beat. And the fact is that you guys, instead of the LeBron fans admitting, what they do is they make up excuses. 1 minute, this era got better. So by time by the time they came in the league, they should have been way more better than what Jordan was when he came in the league. Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, all these guys, they should have been better. Their skills should have been better. And a guy coming into the league calling himself the king, could you imagine these guys sitting at home saying they destroyed LeBron James in the Olympics, destroyed LeBron James, the king, in the FIBA. They got these stories to tell their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. They got the hardware to show it, the gold medals, the silver medals. They got all this stuff, folks. Remember, this was about the time where they left Kobe for dead. And this new experiment was going on with the King and Dwayne Wade and all these incoming guys who were supposed to be the American players that carried on the legacy of the NBA. We know Allen Iverson was in there in practice. These are the guys that's supposed to carry on the legacy of the NBA. Yeah, Vince Carter was great, and he didn't get beat in the Olympics either. But Vince Carter, all this guy could do was really dunk. He wasn't clutch. Where's his playoff clutch moments? What about his finals moments? No way LeBron James is supposed to make the damn finals before Vince Carter. No way. If LeBron James is making the finals at 22 years old with a bunch of nobodies, and Vince Carter has Jason Kidd, something ain't right, folks. Vince Carter was a disappointment. His career was one of the biggest disappointments ever for having no injuries. But let's get back into this. Yeah. That's when we found out American players no longer have fundamentals. Yep. And all they could say was, oh man, the world caught up to us. How about crouching down and playing some damn defense? How about practicing how to damn shoot? How about stop worrying about going to the club and having fun first and stop playing off of athleticism, right? Because that's what it really became about, especially when you talk about LeBron James, it became about athletics. Yeah, the freak athlete. Okay, but can he shoot? Nope. 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 And when you go to the free throw line, that'll tell you how good of a shooter you are. Yup. Most centers in the 90s, they were better. I'm talking about great centers. Well, you could say most centers on average, right, were better free throw shooters or better free throw shooters than LeBron James. Yep, they were better free throw shooters than LeBron James on average. The centers, the guys at the center position, that's crazy. And we'll get back into this in-season tournament. But well, this guy couldn't make the playoffs his first two seasons. They knew they were in trouble, man. They were in trouble. This guy, he had a really bad start to his career. And we can make the excuses, oh, man, he was young. That's fine, bro. You just don't come in calling yourself the king. Could you imagine Kobe coming into the 90s? This guy had to sit on the bench. Why? Because he couldn't shoot. You know where LeBron was going in the 90s? On the damn bench. And Kobe wasn't a good defender at that time. And you can't blame him. He's coming out of high school. You gotta remember, our college players back then were really good. In the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, they were really good players. So we didn't need to be replacing our American college players with international players. Yes, do we have international players? Yes. But it was the best of international players, right? When you look at Hakeem, when you look at Ewing, guys like that, we're talking about the best of the best international players. Joker won't make it. Luka won't make it. A lot of these guys, these international players today, they would not make it in the 90s. Why? Because they don't have it. And when I talk about it, you have to be a defender first. We talked about this the other day. To start in the NBA back then, you had to be a good to great defender. B.J. Armstrong eventually started over Paxson because B.J. Armstrong was a better defender, not a better shooter. Ron Harper started over Kerr, not because he was a better shooter, because he was a better defender. All your points were earned. That's why when you see a dude, man, that dude 50 tonight. Whoa, 60 tonight. 40, 30. You know he earned those buckets. You know he earned them. So a lot of these guys today, your Devin Bookers, your Kevin Durant's. Kevin Durant might make it, but I'm just telling you guys, this era is weird. Like, you take Kevin Durant, you take Curry, Booker, Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I might have to go back and look at Jaylen Brown. But Anthony Edwards, I think I said Joker and Luka. These guys never made a defensive team in their entire career. And I'm not going to say every great player made a defensive team back in the day. But when you look at it, and you look at the defensive players that stopped them from making a defensive team, you say, oh, okay. I see why. You know what I'm saying? And you look at these defensive players today, like Rudy Gobert, like, what? That's crazy. Marcus Smart, he ain't making no defensive team in the 90s. So basically, these guys aren't good at defense. So they cut out defense to make these guys better offensive players, make them look better. It's ridiculous. So the in-season tournament is a fraud. It's a fraud. And the fact that none of these players ever speak up about nothing, it just shows you a lot about this league that makes no sense. Now these guys are going to sit around from the December 10th all the way into the 19th. The 3/4 of the damn league is going to sit around and do nothing? Most of them ain't even showing up to work anyways. And they get more days off now than ever. So this is going to be interesting to see. I'm surprised nobody called this out. I didn't really... The whole in-season tournament was new to me last year, so I really didn't even look at this whole scenario. But these guys, the majority of them are sitting around doing nothing. Again, you want a tournament? Start it at the beginning of the season. That's all you do. And you do it for about, I don't know, what you got to do? A tournament? A week? Week and a half? That's it. What, the March Madness, how long is that? I don't know, maybe about a week and a half or something like that. That's all you do, man. If you're only playing one game, you should be able to play the next day on a back-to-back. And once you get into those quarterfinals, semifinals, now you can play every other game or something like that. But guys are getting paid tens of millions of dollars and getting these big contracts. Don't tell me they can't play every day, especially if you're playing in the same place. You're playing in Vegas. And this is another thing. This is about money. This ain't about nothing else, bro. It's about money. That's why they're playing it in Vegas. So all this betting can happen. Vegas can make money. All these games are already sold out. Everybody's hoping they can see Bronny James. Heard his jersey. It's the number one selling jersey right now. I told you guys, this ain't a real sports league. And these aren't real sports fans, because real sports fans, they would not be going to these games. These sports fans, these wannabe sports fans, these people who are going to these games are people who want to see entertainment. That's it. They're not real NBA fans per se. They're not. Or like Sports and Fitness Friends said, they're not fans of a team anymore. They're fans of a player. The fact that you can't have no pushback that Bronny James is in the league taking a roster spot, and you had to fight all this long to do what you had to do to get in the NBA, and Bronny James is in here. Say if this guy came in and, I don't know, he was an All-American in college, but you still like, oh man, he really didn't play no competition in college and something like that. You just want to make up excuses, right? Because you still think he's getting his favoritism, right? Or maybe he wasn't an All-American. Just say he was put up like 12 points per game in college, but it wasn't really nothing dazzling, or you didn't see him as a real great player. And he said, man, this guy coming to the NBA because of his father, right? And then he got to the NBA. He's like, damn, man, Bronny James putting up 10 points per game, man. But, I don't think he still ain't got no game, man. This and that. You just want to make up excuses, right? And say it's because of his father that, all this is still happening, even though he's putting up a little bit of points in the NBA. He's getting like 4 rebounds and 5 assists or something like that. And you say, oh man, he just riding this wave, and next year he's gonna blah blah blah. You can't even say that. You can't even hate on the dude and be like, man, I don't believe he's still gonna be anything or not. You can't say that, man. Like I said before, when LeBron James went to Miami, and at least if he won 3, you could be like, hey man, them don't count, man. He got a super team, man. Yeah, he won 3, but you can't even say that. Oh man, he went to Cleveland, man. I know he won them 2 in Cleveland, man, because he had a super team. He didn't have a super team. He didn't even win 2. You can't even say that. You can't even say that, man. That's the saddest part right there. You can't even say that. That this man with 3 super teams literally only brought home 3 championships. Michael Jordan had 3 championships in 3 seasons with 1 team. And retired and came back and won 3. I mean, that's just crazy right there. That's the craziest story you ever heard. Even when we do count those 18 games back that he came back and they lost in the playoffs, that's still 2 years off, man. That's still 2 years off. 2 years off is 2 years off. As much as LeBron works on his body and he won't stop fucking running the court, when is he going to take 1 year off and come back and win 1 championship? Mike did that and won 3. That's crazy just to think about. I'm going to go retire and go play baseball and then come back and win. It wasn't like Scotty went to the finals. It wasn't like Scotty went to the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that. No, ain't like Scotty was putting up 30 points per game because Mike left. Nope. Scottie Pippen put up the same numbers as he was putting up when Michael Jordan was there. The same numbers. And he had Tony Kukoc. And he had Horace Grant for a year. And he had Ron Harper for a year. So when you think that Jordan played on the super team or built some super team, those guys were already there. And I think Luke Longley was there. Only person who wasn't there was Dennis Rodman. And these fools couldn't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. It was about to be in like 4th place before Jordan came back. I mean, not 4th place, 6th place. Before Jordan came back and got what? Jordan got like in 3rd with 18 games remaining. So, look, man, it's a gimmick. The in-season tournament is a gimmick. LeBron James' entire career has been what? A gimmick. A gimmick. When they found out this guy couldn't win, they had to basically turn his career into a gimmick. And a gimmick that really didn't work out for him. The super team building, it didn't work out for him. The all this praise of him from all these color analysts, and people still don't like this guy. There's not enough you can do for this guy, or enough gimmicks to make anything good out of it. You can't make nothing good out of any of these gimmicks that you do for this guy. I mean, come on, bro. You won the in-season tournament, which really means nothing. You should have put that to the side. Oh, that was good. Let's get back to the regular season and win this championship. So for the 2nd year in a row, you get beat by a plumber. You get beat by a plumber, right? That had no top 75 teammate, no all-star teammate, no all-defensive teammate, no all-NBA teammate, but yet you and Anthony Davis is basically all that I mentioned against this one guy who didn't have none of that. For 2 years in a row. Not 1 year, 2 years in a row, you get beat by the same guy with no all-star teammate, no top 75 teammate, no Hall of Fame teammate, no all-NBA teammate, no all-defensive teammate. And I'm starting to take Shaq Attack. I'm starting to take his side, man, because Murray is looking like trash. He can give you a couple points. I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on. He can hit you a game winner or something like that. But he cannot. He should at least be able to give you 25 points on a consistent basis to be a great player. And look, they don't have. When Hakeem went on his back-to-back championship run, Hakeem had some good players. He didn't have no. Well, I guess he did have Clyde Drexler on the second one. Let me stop. But on his first one, he didn't have Clyde Drexler, but he had a lot of good shooters. These shooters that Joker has is nothing compared to what Hakeem had. When we talk about Vernon Maxwell from the outside, Mario Elie, Kenny Smith, All these guys bombing away from three. Robert Ory, I don't know if he really shot too many threes back then. These guys like that, he just had a better team on that second back to back. Um, I don't know, Joker. I mean, you're gonna have to go out there and protest for an All Star teammate, Hall of Fame teammate. Get rid of these guys. Just get rid of them. I don't know why you're playing with them. It doesn't make any sense. Um, what's the guy that shoots all them threes? Oh God, he's been so cold lately, and he just got a new contract. When he's on, he's on. But man, this guy plays no defense. Aaron Gordon's always hurt. You just might have to get Joker. You if you got to get rid of most of these guys in a trade to get a good guy, that's what you're gonna have to do. Because Joker really don't need that much help. You can get him one Hall of Fame teammate, and the rest of them like subpar players, and he's gonna win it. That's all Michael Jordan needed, right? With Scottie Pippen, all he needed Scottie Pippen and just a whole bunch of role players. That's it. They didn't have to be Hall of Fame players. That's all Michael Jordan needed. So, and when you look at Kobe Bryant, he won back-to-back championships. That's all he needed was an all-star teammate. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think Denver is out of this. If I ain't mistaken. So I think if the Suns lose one more, they're out of it. Celtics are still in it. Who did I predict? I predicted the Lakers in the. I can't even tell you right now. Because I think the Lakers going to be OKC. Or OKC is just going to, play down to the competition, lose like the Spurs or something like that. We'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, I said the Cavs. I said the Cavs will end up meeting the Lakers, right? And the whole thing will be like overshadowing it. They'll be talking about Bronny. They'll be talking about LeBron James and the whole Cleveland thing. All this. And they'll basically destroy Cleveland. Because nobody's going to be able to stop Anthony Davis. They're going to get all these free throws. Connecting's going to be connecting. I just... Look, Cleveland is good. They have to prove it, though. You can't... We see teams like this before. We'll see what happens, man. They actually have to prove it. They really haven't been in that type of position to where they had to show us. And they set out last year, and they were hurt and all this stuff, so you didn't show us nothing, really. They had two guys basically sit out. I mean, when you watch guys like Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, even Charles Barkley, Wilt Chamberlain, we just can go down the list. Michael Jordan, all these guys playing hurt all the time. What's the excuse, man? What's the excuse? This is the ultimate time. You can't say, when were stars sitting out in the playoffs? I don't remember. In the 90s? That was unheard of. The only time he might have been old and beat up, like Patrick Ewing, right? I think that was the when he played the Spurs. The man was finished. What was that, 99? Was it 99? I think the year, yeah, I think it was 99. I think he got hurt in the season, though, or something like that. I forget. But, man, that man was over the hill. He came in a long time ago in the 80s. Like the middle 80s or whatever like that. So that's when I would expect for a superstar to be out. Not in their prime. That's really. I'm talking about you would literally have to drag a great player off the floor back in the 80s and 90s. We turn around, everybody is out the playoffs last year. So you couldn't give nothing like this to Michael Jordan in the 90s because this would be on his mantle too. He'd be having this in-season tournament thing on his mantle too, like 8 of them. Or Bird and Magic in the 80s. But, they didn't have to put no gimmicks together to get these guys to play. So basically what you got the NBA for over a week just sitting around doing nothing over a gimmick game while the league makes all this money in Vegas to give some of these guys 500,000 and 200,000, whoever wins. And like I said before, that's toilet paper money to them. Especially when you pay taxes on that, it's toilet paper money. So these guys basically are in Vegas to have fun. Basically in Vegas to have fun and make money over a meaningless tournament. That really isn't a tournament because it's not played like a tournament until the 8th and the ninth. Don't this look familiar? Group play? Wasn't this in the Olympics? At least we can say that they kept playing. They didn't go back to the NBA and play a regular season game. They kept playing the tournament game. I mean, this is stupid, folks. It makes no sense. You wonder why everybody's walking away from the NBA. So tell me what you think. What's going